And we are live. Welcome, coaches. How are y'all doing? I hope that those that are watching right now, you're out of your slumber, your turkey-induced nap. If you're like me, I just had leftovers. That's the great thing about Thanksgiving is you eat it that Thursday, that Friday, that Saturday, and Sunday lunch. I am here with Coach Blair Hubbard. Coach, thank you so much for being here. We're going to be talking about your very unique offense, but for those coaches that don't know who you are, could you give us a little background on your story and how you got where you are?
Sure. I'm a coach in the Denver area, Broomfield High School. I've been a head coach since 1999. Started as an assistant in 1996, and I guess my offensive path through the coaching life. I started out as a double wing, kind of the Don Markham type offense, double tight, double wing, because that's the system that I had coached in as an assistant. And I decided to stick with that. And after a few years of doing that, we had okay seasons, but I realized that basically the teams that we had to beat year in and year out in our conference to qualify for the playoffs, they were starting to catch up with what we were doing. And there's nothing worse than a coach when you're in the locker room at halftime and you don't have an answer to what the defense is doing. And I felt like we were limiting ourselves. And there might be double wing coaches on right now that are going to say, well, you just didn't do it the right way, whatever. But so I decided to branch out. I went to a Glazier clinic and heard Coach Sharp from Joliet Catholic High School, very successful coach in the Chicago area, talk about his wing tee. And from there in 2002, we went to more of a buck sweep based series, more of a true wing tee. And I learned pretty quickly that I wasn't a very good offensive coach after trying to teach the buck sweep series. Pretty much realized that you had to get 9 of 11 guys to do what you wanted to do to move the football, running the buck sweep. And again, you buck sweep guys, you wing tee card carrying guys out there, don't trash me too bad. But so we struggled with it that year. And then the next year I went to a Glazier clinic in Kansas City and heard a coach named Mike Earwood out of Stars Mills, Georgia High School. And he was talking about this thing called the jet sweep. He was running it under center. I gave him a call at school before I decided to fly out there. And I said, what's the thing that, you really like about running this jet sweep package? And he said, well, we don't have to block anyone from a 3 technique back. And I thought, coming from trying to run some buck sweep stuff where I felt like we had to have everyone do, exactly what they're supposed to do every single play, to not having to block guys from the 3 technique back on line of scrimmage, that was pretty inviting. So I flew out to Kansas City and learned the jet sweep series, had good success with that. We went from not making the playoffs in 2002 to making to the semifinals. And then in 2004, won our first state championship at Faith Christian High School, where I was at, a 2A school. I'm at a 4A school now, but then had some success with it over the years. 2005, we experimented with being in the gun, running some jet sweep out of shotgun because we had an athletic quarterback that I felt that we could complement his athleticism by running some quarterback running game. And then in 2009, going into that season, we had actually gone back under center, and I learned the rocket sweep from basically Georgia Tech, the military academies that basically use the rocket sweep as a complement play to their option offense. And I wanted to, once I learned that with the rocket sweep, you don't have to block anyone from a 5 technique back, I thought, well, less guys to block, maybe that's even better. Yeah. So started running that under center. In 2006, went undefeated, won a state championship that year. And then 2009, with a really athletic quarterback again, wanted to get back into the gun to utilize his running ability. And in the winter of 2009, in February, in a little practice gym, we were getting together and experimenting with stuff. And we tried to run the rocket sweep out of a shotgun set. And we just had the quarterback reverse out like he would if he was under center. And the ball was just all over the gym. And I was pretty close to just scrapping it and saying, we're just going back under center. We're just going to do what we've always done. And my quarterback was a starting point guard on a basketball team. And I just said, Micah, just do this. Just front out and make a thumbs down basketball chest pass to the sweeper back when he comes off your heels. And we did that. And just immediately we realized that we had something there, because the pitch was crisp. It was sharp. It was accurate. It got width very quickly. It wasn't like a floating option pitch. And then also all our complementary plays, our counters, our traps, our power plays, we felt like we could incorporate that in that backfield mechanic that we did. We went 14-0 that season running it, had good success. When I was at Faith, went to Lutheran High School on the south side of Denver, had good success there. And now at Broomfield High School for 5 years. We've played for 2 state championships, made the semifinals another year, made the playoffs every year. And, obviously you've got to have great culture. You've got to have a great weight room. You've got to have kids that believe in what you're doing. You've got to play great defense and solid special teams. But the offense has helped us win a lot of games over the years with what we've done. And ever since meeting Mike Earwood back in 2003, I've been a big fan of some sort of speed sweep to the perimeter that stresses the edge of the defense. Because if you get an edge player thinking about contain or thinking about a sweeper back crossing his face, now that softens that edge, and now you can run off tackle. Obviously, you've got misdirection because you've got motion going, and then it opens up passing lanes for us as well along the way. And I'll always be a fan of some sort of speed sweep to the perimeter, and our flavor of it is running rocket sweep out of a shotgun set.
Well, that's first off unbelievable. That I like those little things. Hey, let's just randomly. You're at your wits' end. You're like, let's just chest pass and let's see what happens. Let's just do it. And what was your quarterback's reaction when that actually worked? Was the first time like, oh, that's a fluke, let me try that again, and then it just took off from there?
For him, he was in the middle of his basketball season, so doing this, he does it 100 times in practice and 100 times on the basketball court in a basketball game. And, a lot of times in programs, you've got a quarterback that is a basketball player. He's played some basketball in his life. He didn't even flinch. He's like, let's try it again. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it again. And he did it again. And it was just a perfect pass, just hit us right in the hands. And I'm grateful to him to this day.
Yes. Okay. So you've gone from the fly to the rocket, and you said you've gone under center and in shotgun. Are you 100% shotgun now?
We are. Yep.
Okay.
We're 100% shotgun. We're no huddle. We'll change the pace of our no huddle with it. We have a left slot. We have a right slot. We don't, wear one kid out going, being our sweeper all the time. So yeah, we're 100% shotgun. We'll even, victory formation. We'll even snap it shotgun set. And now with NFHS changing the rules, you can clock the ball out of shotgun now. And I think a lot of coaches don't realize that. We didn't have that happen this year, but fortunately here in Colorado, we've been able to have a season. We played a 6-game regular season, and in the playoffs, we just lost this last week to an undefeated, very good team. But you can you can stop the clock out of shotgun now just by throwing it forward.
I didn't know that. I knew you could take a knee because we actually did that this year. Because we never taken a snap under center. So when we had to go to victory, I was like, just get back there. It's in the rules. Just take the snap, kneel. That's it. And everyone was looking at me. I was like, I promise. But coaches, if you're here, thank you so much. I see all of y'all. Todd, what's up? Johnny, what's going on? Ryan, Tony, Ed, what's going on? Eli, if you have any questions, put them in chat. I will ask Coach. Coaches also has some cut-ups that we're going to get to in a little bit to show you his offense. I am first going to be very selfish, and I'm going to ask questions because, like I was telling them off the air, I'm studying this offense, and I want to know kind of the ins and outs. So I know in the fly, I've been studying the fly as well at the top of yours. Like they had like a strong side and a quick side of the line. I don't know if you did that when you were running the fly offense. Did you do that?
No, we just always stayed right and left.
Okay.
With our play calling system, we have a 3-digit play calling system. The first digit, like 238 rocket for us is rocket to the right. 136 power would be power to the right. So the first digit explains who's gonna pull on the play, because we are constantly pulling our linemen. We're not a zone team. We're a gap man on blocking scheme with a lot of traps, a lot of counters, a lot of kickouts. So the first digit is who's pulling, the second digit is who's carrying the ball, and then the third digit is where we're going with the ball. So just because of that, we've always stayed left and right with our linemen. We will go tackle over at times. We'll go 3 surface side where we've got guard, tackle, and on the backside we've got guard and tight end. We've done that a little bit this year, and we've done it in the past if we want to get a little more beef. But we've been blessed with some good tight ends that could block for us, and so yeah, we just stay right and left with our offensive line.
Okay. All right. And we have some coaches in here. Now, if you're on Facebook, right above us, there's a link for stream. Click that so we can see your username and your face and all that beautiful stuff. But Coach says, Rocket Baby, saw Coach at Cleveland at Glazier Clinic in 2017. I've been running it ever since with success. Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Another one says, actually, since I have both of you here, we have used rocket motion to run stick and corner to great success. So big thanks to both of you. Did you have any pushback with your kids when you went from a fly type offense to the rocket?
No, the transition was kind of gradual, because 2003 to 2005 we were under center jet sweep. 2005 we kind of tinkered around with being in the shotgun because of the quarterback that we had. But then 2006 we learned the rocket sweep, and our kids realized, wow, we can hit the edge a lot faster with the rocket sweep and a lot wider catching the ball than just the handoff, basically in the play side A gap from an under center jet sweep. So our progression wasn't from basically under center jet sweep to shotgun rocket sweep. It went from under center jet sweep to a little bit of shotgun jet sweep to then back under center rocket sweep. So our kids were familiar with the rocket sweep and familiar with the speed of it. And once my quarterback realized, hey, I can run the ball pretty effectively from a shotgun set, the thing that it allowed us to do, and we did that this year as well, is we can go empty now. So we can have 5 vertical threats. Our quarterback can run our traps, our counters, our G scheme, which we call down. So now the defense, they've got to defend a very quick horizontal stretch sweep play. They've got to defend 5 vertical pass threats, and they still have to defend a quarterback that can run the ball when we do have a quarterback that can run the ball. So it's something that stresses the defense very well. So that progression, once my quarterback realized he's going to be able to run the ball a lot more, he was all for it.
Okay. I bet he was. He can get it.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say is like, are you 60-40 run pass? Are you 50-50, 70-30? Like, how does you, at the end of the year, how does it break down from run to pass?
We are probably more, I would say, probably closer to 70-30 run pass. But our production is probably a greater percentage to the pass side. We've had quarterbacks that have thrown for over 2,000 yards, 25 touchdowns. Our quarterback this year was up there near the state lead in passing yardage. So it just depends on who we have back there. The thing that I really like about our offense is a year ago when we played for the state championship, we had a running back, our tailback went for 2,600 yards. But we've had other years where in basically a wing tee based offense, we've thrown for over 2,000 yards. So we can we don't have to make wholesale changes, but we can just kind of tweak and bend to the level of talent that we have at different positions. And I think that's what's helped us be successful offensively over the years, is just kind of leaning in the direction of the talent that we have.
I love it. Yep. All right. So we have our first question.
Sure.
One of the coaches in Facebook want to know, do you have any adjustments to the edge outside linebacker auto pressuring, crashing off the edge to the rocket motion?
With that, what we'll do a lot of times, if we see that they're outside linebackers that are really crashing, first of all, our tailback out of the backfield, as soon as the ball's snapped, when he's lead blocking, he's got a flash outside. And if our play side slot can't pick that guy up, we want to have our tailback try to get to that guy as fast as possible. So his responsible is always looking for that outside edge pressure coming up field. But the other thing is, as a play caller, if we see that that's happening, we want to start attacking that area with the passing game. We want to throw the ball in the flats. If they want to commit their outside linebacker to coming up like that, we're going to go ahead and throw the ball. Another tweak that we've seen successful is we'll compress our formation. You'll see like the Los Angeles Rams, they've been doing a lot of that lately, but we will get in. We have snug where we put our split ends at about a 5-yard split. We have what we call squeeze, where our split ends are now at about a 1 or 2 yard split. And what happens is once we start to squeeze down, those guys aren't as prone as trying to shoot upfield, because they know we can cut them off a little bit quicker. And it's almost like the more you kind of squeeze down, the defense is a little more aware that you've got basically almost like a bunch set formation right there that's happening with the motion, because you've got two eligible receivers on the line of scrimmage, and then you've got your sweeper back, and they don't know if we're throwing or running the ball. So those are the things that we have done to try to slow those guys down there.
All right, I love it, and great question, Coach. Now, one thing I've noticed researching your offense in the fly, I don't know, when you're in the fly, they have that unique blocking on the perimeter, like 21 sweep or 221, and they change the responsibilities. Do you do something similar to that, or is it just like, if I'm the wide receiver, I've got the corner, the back that's not getting the ball, lead blocking, he's got someone else? How do you do it on the perimeter?
So that's a great question. That's a question that comes up a lot at Glazier and Nike clinics that I speak at every year. We don't have a numbering system. We don't have a count system on the edge. Basically, what our rule, because the reason I don't have a numbering system is because we see so many rotating defenses. We see corners that squeeze in, and then safeties that come over the top. We see safeties that roll down. So as we start in motion, a lot of times that count will change. So basically what we do is, if we're running our base rocket sweep, we're going to stock block with our split end. Our play side slot, he's responsible for first man on his outside shoulder. So that could be an outside backer in a 4-4 defense. That could be a safety stemming down in a 4-3 defense with 2 high safeties. So we basically put a lot on our slot that they've got to figure out, okay, who is the first man on the outside edge? And they're responsible for trying to get to the outside shoulder of that player. And then our tailback, if he's leading out, if we're not empty in that situation, he's kind of the trash man. He's kind of your backside pulling guard on a power play where your fullback's kicking out. He's looking for anything that's leaking through as he comes around the corner. So basically, front side receiver, we're going to stock block, or we've got a crack scheme also. We don't crack as much since they've kind of changed the rule about how hard you can crack people and stuff like that. So our play side receiver is going to stock block, our slot's first man outside, our tailback's going to pick up basically first threat to show, and then our play side tackle, he's going to pull. We're not going to block anyone from a 5 technique back. We will pull around them. And one major thing, and I'll show this when we get to kind of the presentation here, is over the years, when we first started doing this, I wasn't quite sure of what to do with our backside offensive linemen, basically from our center back. So when we first started it, the guys that have our old film, you'll see a lot of times what we do is we would screen set on the backside. And then we would see, okay, are they defending the screen side when we run rocket sweep? And if they're not, then we come back and we throw a backside screen on it. We would do what we call Red River, basically, where we would the front side would pull this way, the backside would pull this way, and it just split down the middle. We call it Red Sea, actually, not Red River. But what we've settled on the last 2 years, we used to do a lot of false pulls, and we still do some false pull schemes in our offense because we're back away from the line of scrimmage, so we don't have to worry about those guys running into our quarterback under center and those types of things. But basically on the front side, our front side tackle, slot, tailback, receiver, they're responsible for blocking rocket sweep to the perimeter. From our rocket side guard back, what's going to happen is he's going to pull away from the sweep, and all those players on the backside from rocket side guard, center, backside guard, backside tackle, they're going to make it look like our trap scheme, which our misdirection trap, we call it gut. We have trap that hits play side with the motion. We have gut that hits backside away from the motion. Right. So to the defense, they don't know until we actually pitch the ball or hand it off to someone, especially those inside linebackers, what play we're running. So it really freezes those inside backers. So that's basically what we do with our blocking scheme with it.
Oh, I love that. I freaking love that. And I've seen some of the video, and I'm like, oh my goodness, if I was a high school kid, I would just sit there. Like,
yeah, you'll see that on film. You'll see those backers, they just freeze and they don't know which way to go. And then all of a sudden our tackles out leverage them, and now they're stuck inside.
I love that, because when I tell people, when you're going against the wing T, just read the guards. Mm-hmm. That'll take you to where you're supposed to go. But now you're actually using that, what the defense teaches, to your advantage, because now you have guards going one way, the play's going the other. So they're like, oh my goodness, what in the world do we do? And that blows my mind.
Yeah.
During the game, what do you have your coaches? You don't have to tell us the secret, but do you assign coaches to look at certain things during the game, and then do they tell you as the play's going on, so you know what to call next, or do they tell you after the series?
So basically what we do now with, sideline film, that's a huge advantage to us. After the series, I can watch the film and see, one thing that I miss is watching our defense play, because as an offensive coordinator, head coach, I'm watching the film, and all of a sudden, I'm not seeing what's happening on defense and things like that. But the film helps. The other thing that we have, my man in the booth on the offensive side, our JV head coach, what he is watching for basically is backfield rotation, linebacker stemming. So he's looking for that for me, and he's letting me know, okay, the corners are playing off or they're playing press. If it's a too high safety set, the strong safety is rolling down, the backside safety is coming over the top. And he's also looking for the linebacker stemming it all. And then between him and myself on film, then we're also trying to figure out, okay, like you said, with wing T based blocking scheme offenses, a lot of linebackers will read guards. Are they truly reading guards? Are they reading motion? Are they cross keying our slots? We try to figure that out right away, because then we try to manipulate what their read is, what their key is, and take advantage of that way. So that's what we do. And for myself personally, what I'm doing is I'm watching the front side edge. I want to know what that play side outside linebacker, like in a stack defense, is doing, or that defensive end with his hand on the ground, a 5 technique and a 4-3 type defense. What is that edge player doing? Because what that tells me, okay, are they leaning with the motion? And then if they're leaning with the motion, we should be able to run off tackle all night long on them if they're not, holding their ground right there. So okay. That's kind of how we break it up.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. When you are game planning, do you use a bunch of different formations in the same plays, or do you just have these are our plays, these are our formations, you've just got to stop it?
So what we do when we look at what the defense is going to present to us, we want to see, hopefully on film, we're going to see how they are adjusting to a multitude of different formations. And we've got a system where we can get in basically thousands of different formation sets. We can be empty, we can be bunch, we can be overloaded very quickly. We signal those in. This year we could just very easily yell them on, because there's not a lot of crowd noise this year with limited people in the stands and stuff like that. But yeah, we will run our entire offense out of just about any formation that we have, especially years that we have a running quarterback.
All right. And is it hard to game plan, since you have to be one of the most unique offenses in your area, right? Or have you just influenced everybody so much that they're doing the same thing you're doing?
No, there are some teams in Colorado that have picked it up and they've run it a little bit. We played in one game when I was at a previous school coaching that They basically mirrored our offense and ran it against us. But as far as game planning, we will still see double tight, double wing. We'll see spread. We'll see true wing T. We'll see flex bone. So, and with the flex bone, they'll run some rocket sweep toss type stuff just to complement their option game. But really for game planning, we try to see what they do. We try to determine if their linebackers traditionally are coached to read guards, if we see them against a pulling offense. And then what we do is we just run what we run, and we apply it to the type of defense that we're going to face.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We have another question. Coach wants to know, what is the difference between jet and fly?
Well, we're not jet and we're not fly. We're rocket sweep. The thing that I think it's semantics, really. Yeah. I think some people call jet because that's what they call it. Some people call fly because that's what they call it. Fly sweep, jet sweep. I think, that you think of Mark Speckman out of Washington. He's a big fly guy. But really, if you took his offense and you put it somewhere where it was like a Cobley offense from Georgia, he called that jet, but they're very similar. So I really think that it's semantics. Really what that is that's either an under center handoff to the perimeter or it's a shotgun handoff to the perimeter. And really with the West Virginia, kind of the touch pass that's become popular now, where it's just kind of tapped forward. That's not really a handoff anymore, but really the jet and the fly are the same thing, but it's more of a, kind of the quarterback is handing it off. It's basically happening right in the frame of his body, where when we run our rocket sweep, we are catching the ball, we are turning it, and we are making that pitch, and we are catching it a few yards outside of where a tight end would be lined up in that situation. So jet and fly, just semantics.
Yeah, I equate it to potato and potato.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same thing. Okay, we have another one, and I think this kind of leads into, let's just bring up the clips.
Okay.
So you can show it's do you have your running back cheat to the outside block with his alignment? And I think the clips, Coach has gotten, I want to say 20 clips, you said, where you're actually showing this. So if you would just share the screen and we can, I'm interested. I want to freaking do all this stuff too.
Let me talk about the cheating first, because it actually came up last year. We had a very good tailback, very fast. He rushed for 2,600 yards. And last year we were cheating him outside when we ran rocket sweep, and we had done that in the past. And we started seeing that defenses, when we started self-scouting ourselves and watching their linebackers trigger, we could tell that when we would cheat him out a little bit, their linebackers were really quick to trigger to the rocket sweep. So once we saw that, we've basically narrowed him down. We basically tell him, when you are lining up, and we do this in the summer, during, 2-a-days, stuff like that. We don't have 2-a-days anymore here in Colorado, but we just have them reach their hand out, be able to touch the quarterback on the shoulder, and that's the width that we stand at. And we've settled on that now, because we realized last year, halfway through the season, that we were tipping some things off by having him cheat out. But that's a great question, and I can get right into the film here so you guys can kind of see that, if you're ready to go with that.
Yeah. While you're bringing that up, have you ever thought about pistol? Have you ever dabbled in the pistol alignment and then have the guy, or is it just hit? So that's a stupid question, because it hits so far out there that if he's in pistol, that guy wouldn't be able to get out there. Scratch that question. Yeah, you can.
Actually, it is a good question, because we have had what we do with our cadence. Our quarterback does not signal when we go in motion. Our cadence is rhythmic, and there's a basic term for when our slots go in motion, and they go in motion. So what we do is when we do get in pistol, and we've done this in years past, we'll go in very late motion. So we'll be perfectly balanced. We'll have 2 split ends, 2 slots. We'll have our pistol back right behind our quarterback. And he will just go in very late motion. It's almost like a one-step motion. I'll tell the official during pregame, it's not a false start. We're just going in late motion. And that helps him kind of get going to the perimeter there. So it's not a bad question. It's a very good question. It's something that we've done when we want to go in pistol. We'll just do that late motion. And still the defense sees that, their eyes are drawn to that motion, and that still opens up some of our off tackle stuff, our misdirection, those types of things. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm glad.
All right.
Thank you for saving my
No problem.
right there.
All right. So I'm gonna share screen here, and I'm gonna go through some plays here really quick because some guys, when I talk about it, they think they have an idea of what we do, but then until they actually see it, they're like, "Oh, this is really what you're doing." So, Coach, can you guys see the screen?
We can
here?
see.
Okay.
We can see the screen. Yes, sir.
So when I speak at clinics around the country in the off season, which unfortunately I don't think there's going to be any in-person ones this year, but I start with this clip right here because this is Seattle from several years ago, and you can see they're running the fly sweep. And can you see my cursor there too, Coach?
Yeah, we can.
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
sir.
So the goal of a jet sweep or a fly sweep or a rocket sweep is to get here as fast as you can. And when you run the jet sweep or the fly sweep, when the ball hits the quarterback's hands, the sweeper back is on the back side of where you want to go. And you can see here, Percy Harvin, he's 1, 2, 3, basically 3 steps away from his goal, and that's to be to the perimeter right here. And when we run our rocket sweep, we're coming off the heels of the quarterback, and I'll show you this here in a second. But when the ball hits our quarterback's hands, we're going to be at least even with the quarterback or a step beyond. So we're going to be 4 steps faster to the perimeter on our rocket sweep than your traditional fly or jet sweep, whether it's under center or in shotgun. And I think that's what really adds to the stress of the defense, because they've got to do something out here, because we're going to hit it faster. I mean, our offensive series, it's called faster than the fly, and that's why we call it that, because it's literally faster than a fly sweep and hitting the perimeter. So I always start with this just to kind of explain the difference between what we do and what your traditional, what's become very popular with your jet and fly sweep out of a shotgun set. So, so this right here, this is very rudimentary. I just drew this up a few minutes ago. I apologize for that.
No, not at all.
But basically, this is our rocket sweep, this direction here. And you can see we're going to stock block. Our slot's going to reach first man outside. Our tailback's going to help lead out. So basically, these 4 players are responsible for leading here when we're running rocket sweep. But from our rocket sweep side guard back, we're going to block our trap or our gut scheme back this way. So to the linebackers on the inside, when they see this pull right here, a lot of times it freezes them, because their eyes are drawn here, and then our tackle's able to get in position to block this player right here. And you'll see that on film here in a minute. But then when we want to run our gut sweep or our gut with our quarterback, with our tailback, if we've got a 5 technique right here or a 4 technique, we'll actually still pull this tackle, because what's this 5 technique going to do when we cross his face? He's going to widen. So we'll have our center block this way. So we have 2 plays that are blocked exactly the same, but one can hit out here and one can hit back in here. So it's very, I hope it's confusing to the defense. I think it's shown that it's been confusing to the defense, and you'll see that here in a second. This is from 2009. This is the very first time we ran rocket sweep in a game. This is my quarterback, Micah Twaddell, the kid I talked about. That was our quarterback, or our point guard on our basketball team. We're actually going to run a crack scheme right here. And you can see this is the very first time we ran it in a game in August of 2009. And it was just looked like a punt return, picket fence. We've got the crack coming from outside in right here on this outside backer. Obviously, you can't do that these days, but that was the first time we ran it. I like this one here because it kind of shows we've got the ball set right here. Our quarterback, we typically have him at about 4 yards. And we want our slot to come right off his heels at about 5 yards and just work for width right here. And there's that basketball chest pass. And we allow our quarterbacks to do one of 2 things with it. They can do the thumbs down 2-hand, or they can kind of set it in their hand like they're going to shoot a free throw or shoot the basketball, where they just push it with one hand. It's just up to them. But we don't want a floating type option pitch. We want it crisp. We want it clean. We want it right in our hands, right down the line, right there. So this was my second stop. This is Lutheran High School. You can see same looking thing. This is a 3A level in Colorado. There's 5 classifications. One thing that I point out to coaches is if you're running the fly sweep and there's a bad snap and you've got to have that exchange right in front of the quarterback, a lot of times that fly or jet sweep it's ruined right now because that quarterback's got to get that ball up to that mesh point for that full speed sweeper to take that handoff. But what happens is if there's a bad snap like this one here, if you've got an athletic quarterback, he can pick it up and just still make that pitch right there. So it's very forgiving as far as the mesh point along the way. So this is from this year, or this is from 2 years ago, actually. This is my team at Broomfield High School. And you can see, again, we've got kind of a bad snap here, but he still is able to make the pitch. I want to show you the end zone view of this one right here. So remember that diagram that I showed. So we're going to run rocket sweep this direction here. So we're going to lead out. We're going to pull around this 5 technique. We're going to lead out right here. This is early in the season when we used to cheat them out right here. But you're going to see the guard's going to pull backside. The center's going to block here. We're going to make everything look like we're running what we call gut, our misdirection trap back here. And you can see 45, this linebacker right here. He sees that guard pull and he freezes. He hesitates. And now he's trailing from behind because he saw that guard pull. This one's from this year. We will run it with our tailback to a trip side or to a 2x2 side. And you can see this play side inside linebacker right here. He sees the guard pull. He's frozen, and that gives our tackle a chance to get out in front of it right there. And I'll show you the complementary plays here in a second as well. But you can see his eyes are on that guard, trying to see what he's doing. Here comes our tackle, and he's able to get in position because it freezes that linebacker right there. Here's from a couple of years ago. This is the kid that went for 2,600 yards. And you can see inside backer right here, he's going to see that guard pull, and it freezes him, and it gives us a chance to get in front of him. And that's one less player that we've really got to worry about blocking. Again, right here, backer sees guard pull. He steps up for a second, and now he's basically chasing from behind.
What are your splits?
So we do, basically we will start in 1 foot splits depending on the play. Sometimes we'll reduce down, sometimes we'll widen out. Our kids know the rules for that. Obviously we'll widen out a little bit more on traps on a 3 technique because that's who we want to widen out to trap. We will widen out on the back side of rocket. We will reduce down on the front side of rocket. We'll reduce down when we want to run off tackle plays, just so we can build that wall. So to the defense, they're constantly seeing an offensive line ebbing and flowing with their split differences, but still, because we do so many different things with it, they don't know for sure what's coming at them, but our kids know, they've done the splits for a certain reason. So this is our down play. So this is our first complementary play right here. So we'll make it look like, once we see that they're playing soft on the edge, here's a tight end trade that we do quite a bit, but you can see this defensive end widens out, outside linebacker widens out. We crush everyone down. Our backside guard pulls and kicks out right there. And that's our main off tackle complementary play. And then here it is again. We'll change the footwork on our tailback. So we run a lot of trap and gut. So we'll actually have him, instead of stepping out like that last one where it looks like he's leading out, he'll step in like he's running A gap. And what we've seen is that forces these linebackers to condense down. And you can see him step in thinking it's trap, but then we bounce it back outside and it's coming outside with that same blocking scheme there.
Now, is that a game time thing, or is that a season to season change?
We'll do that. We have that in our arsenal. So okay. If we just call we call it down. We just call our down play. Our quarterback knows that, or our tailback knows that he's going to go ahead and step out to make it look like he's leading, and then stick his foot in the ground and get vertical. If we want to run down with our trap, we tag Timmy on it. So Timmy stands for, the T stands for traps. We want him to take a TI, take a trap step inside before you bounce back outside. So we've got a lot of tags and code words that we do with things like that. Here's our counter. So for 10 years, we would always hand it off just like this right here. And it's just, you're basically GT. You've got your guard and tackle pulling. guard kicking out, tackle wrapping around. And it's been effective for us over the year, a good misdirection. But what we did this year is, and this is our playoff loss last week, unfortunately, but it's a good example of it. We've started tossing it forward. So there's our motion. Our tailback here, he's gonna kind of take a little step out, like he's gonna lead rocket, but then he's gonna actually insert himself. Our guard's gonna pull, and our quarterback's just gonna pitch it forward. So it's a lot cleaner. There's no risk of a fumble because it's a forward pass.
Oh, that's nasty.
And what we do at times is we will fake this pitch, and then our quarterback will keep it out here if we see that they're collapsing on the counter, because there's some teams that really do a good job of defending our counter. And once we see that they're reading guards, reading that tackle, and collapsing on it, our quarterback will just keep it on that. So just a little flip play forward right there.
All right, this is just me. Like, this is the first thing I thought of. Is there any way? Have you ever tried, like, if you're running the rocket to the left in this play, acting like you're doing it and pitching it the no look
to the motion man,
to the back coming in? So instead of like 16 putting his eyes on the guy coming in motion, but pitching it forward.
That's what we're doing right here.
Oh,
it is going forward.
Like yeah, I'm saying, but like the quarterback just looking this way, and then like no look pass. I'm just thinking, because this is amazing right here.
We probably could. I mean, this kid here is a sophomore right here, and we're excited to have him for the next 2 years. But it's something that he's the kind of kid that if I give him a challenge, he's going to do it.
What made you do this? Like, go from handing it off to pitching?
It's just something that I saw last year in the NFL playoffs. There was some team that did it down on the goal line, and I thought, I bet we can do that with our counter, because we do like a shovel play to our backside tight end, where we'll get rocket motion going like this way, and then we'll bring the tight end from the backside and we'll just pitch it to him forward, and we'll block it like our down play. But so we've done some forward pitch stuff, but we just decided to do it, with our counter, and it's been great for us this year, all year long. And you can see we're gonna go in motion here. We're gonna down block everyone on the play side. Guard and tackle are gonna pull, or no, tackle's gonna protect the guard that's pulling. Tailback's just gonna step out and then insert himself, and we just pitch it forward, and there we go.
That's beautiful, man.
So that's our counter. Here's our counter to our tailback. So we will run counter to our tailback. And obviously we won't pitch it because it's someone in the backfield. But here's GT. Here's our guard pulling around and our tackle pulling around. So we will run it from there. Here it is with our quarterback. Here's counter with our quarterback. And this is from this season. And you can see this is just kind of the gamesmanship of our quarterback. He just said, why don't you widen out a little bit here? He did it on his own. And he thought, well, if we widen them out, maybe they'll think it's rocket a little more. And, but it's just quarterback GT right there. And if you've got a quarterback that can run the ball, it's a pretty good thing that the defense now they've got to play true 11 on 11 defense. So let's see here. This is our gut play. So we talked about how our rocket sweep mirrors our gut. So when we actually run gut, we will still pull our place, or in this case, it would be our backside or our rocket side tackle, and our slot will lead out. So to the defense, if they're reading this edge at all, they'll see this looks like rocket blocking. This looks like rocket blocking. Obviously, you've got the motion, and you can see the influence that it has on the edge of the defense right there. I think we've got the end zone view of this. It's a little too tight, but you can see we're running our gut back here, which is basically an inside trap, but it's misdirection. This tackle's going to pull, and this slot's going to lead out. So that side of the defense is all going to lean that way, and even the cameraman went that way, but we're running trap the opposite direction.
You got a good thing when your cameraman's faked out.
Yep, exactly. Here's quarterback gut. So, and you'll see our tackle and slot will lead out like it's rocket, but we're still pulling. So right here at the snap of the ball, this all looks like rocket sweep this direction. This all looks like our gut play this direction. When the quarterback can carry the ball, the defense has to wait to see what he does with the ball before they can react to rocket or before they can react to gut. And it was a high snap right there, but you can see the front side edge of the play here. They see this movement here and they're all flying outside, and it just opens up things for us right there. There's quarterback gut again. This is out of tailback motion. And a couple more plays here. Here's our passing game. So with our passing game, basically our man that's in motion becomes your flat receiver. So if you run curl flat, if you run flood concept, which we run those things, we run quick concepts, we run hitches, slants, speed outs, we run smash concepts out of spread, we'll run rocket sweep out of spread. But what he becomes is he's our horizontal flat stretch on our flat defender. So this is just curl flat right here. And you can see the outside linebackers, they see him, they realize it's pass, they run with him, and that opens up the curl window for us right there. So curl's a big part of our offense. And then this next play right here, you'll see what happens if the quarterback reads that the curl window or whatever downfield is cloudy, then we just dump it off to our swing. And what that gives us right here, the thing that I like about this is we are catching the ball, going downfield instead of like a 3-yard out where your eyes are back here and then you've got to redirect coming back up. Look at the distance here between the defenders. There's 5, 10, 15, 16 yards of open space between them, and they've got to tackle this man in open space. So it gives us that advantage as well, where we're going to catch the ball looking downfield. We've got all this room to work with now, and our slots are one of our best athletes on our offense. And if they can make a man miss, we've got an extra 5 yards right there. And then what we'll do is if we really see linebackers bailing when they read pass, we'll pre-call our swing pass and we'll have them release. We'll have our slot release like he's running what we call our dart route, and then he'll just block for him. So now You've got your outside backer thinking it's pass. He thinks we're running our dart scheme right here, which is basically a flood concept. So he's dropping. There's no one else to block to take care of the swing, and now he's out in front blocking for us right there, and it turns into a big game. So, I just threw this in for the fun of it. Back in 2014, I ran into Ed Werner, who at the time he was the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach for Ohio State. We met up at the Detroit Glazier Clinic, and I gave him some film. We kind of talked about what we did. And then that fall in 2015, actually, he said, my offensive line coach, he texted me, he said, Ohio State just ran our stuff. So I looked it up, and I had it actually recorded. And this is our rocket sweep formation. That's our rocket sweep. And this is JT Barrett running our quarterback down scheme. He cut it back right there. Here's another one here where he cuts it back all the way against the grain. But Ed incorporated against Michigan in the Big House, and they had
awesome.
good success with it. So, but that's what I wanted to share. So guys have an idea kind of how we build it and what we do, with the offense. So yeah, that's what we do with it, and it's been good for us. And there's a lot of moving parts. It's not difficult to teach the rocket sweep. Basically, you don't block anyone on the line of scrimmage. So your front side guys are pulling to the front. Your backside guys, you can do whatever you want with them. But that pitch, we don't have to spend a lot of time with our sweepers learning how to take a handoff like this at full speed. And learning that mesh point. They're doing what they do all day long. They're just catching the football. They do that, in the playground from the time they're 5 years old. So it's low maintenance. It's very easy to teach. There are some fine points to it. When I install this around the country at schools in the spring or in the summer, if they fly me out, they'll send me their jamboree film or their first game. And there's some common mistakes that I try to share with coaches that, try to help them out. And, coaches that want to, install this and bring me out, I'm always, on the phone with them, going over film with them when I've got the time to share, the things that they need to improve and tweak on. So, but it's been good for us, and it's been good for some other teams as well.
What are the top 3 mistakes you see new teams to this make?
Okay. The first thing is the ball carrier. So When we work on this in the summertime, or when I install this around the country, what I do is I'll set up cones, and basically we'll start on the hash mark, and I'll put a cone on the opposite hash mark, and I will tell that back, you cannot even think about cutting vertical until you get outside that cone. Because what we want to do is we want to stretch the defense. And what I see from a lot of teams, that when they first install this, those kids catch the ball and they just want to turn up field right away. They don't want to stretch it wide. And really, rocket sweep it's not a home run play. It's not a play where you're going to turn the corner and you're going to go 80 yards for a touchdown. It happens. But really what it is you get run out of bounds, ideally 5, 6, 7 yards downfield. And then it's your traps, it's your guts, it's your passes. Those are the things that are the home runs in the offense. So that's the thing that I see immediately on film when coaches call me after I've installed it, or if they've got the DVDs or whatever. And it's just because their back is cut up too soon. That's one thing. The other thing that I see is the front side tackle. A lot of times they will pull out and they'll just keep going instead of getting vertical and starting looking for that inside out threat right there. And another part is our play side slot, whether we've got them in like in our tight slot position, or if we've got them in spread, they've got to take an outside release. We call it flat and fast. If they don't release flat and fast, what's the defense doing all along to prepare for this type of offense? They're telling those edge defenders don't get reached. So they're working on flying to the sideline. And if our play side slots take any sort of upfield angle to block a defender, that defender's going to beat us to the spot. So that's another thing that I tell them. And when we work our Rocket Skelly drill in the summer or during camp or whatever, we'll put cones outside the slots. We'll put cones outside of our tailbacks if they're leading on the play. And we'll say, you cannot go upfield until you get outside this cone. So everything is flat and fast to the perimeter, whether it's the ball carrier, the guys blocking, whatever it is. We just want to make sure that we're flat and fast to the sideline.
That's awesome. Now, how many coaches how many coaches do you have teaching? I know you have the quarterback coach. Is it like the flex bone? You got A back coaches, you got B back coaches, you got wide receiver coach. How do you break down the coaching staff for the positions?
Okay. So I'm the head coach, I'm the offensive coordinator, and I'm the quarterback's coach. So,
okay.
So I've got that. I've got a running backs coach, and then he has basically an assistant running backs coach. So those guys will work with the slots and with the tailback. So we'll do different drills with them. Obviously we've got our everyday drills. We've got our rocket block drills. We've got what we call feather fill. This kind of goes into our drill segment here, but our feather fill drill, when we're running off tackle, our slot has to be able to insert and block an inside linebacker for us. He doesn't have to move him. He just has to get his hands on him. And what happens is we've seen over the years that a rocket motion side linebacker is going to do one of two things. He's going to see that motion. He's going to kind of feather out because of the motion. It's going to influence him out. Or he's going to read what's in front of him and he's going to fill right away. And that's the most dangerous path to stop our off tackle stuff or our trap game. So we rep that a lot, and we have our slot takes a step out, and then he's got to come flat down the line of scrimmage basically to be able to cut off that linebacker and the off tackle gap. So we call that our feather fill drill. It's crucial to our offense. With our coaches, though, I've got the quarterbacks. These two coaches have the slots and the tailbacks, and they're working pass protection. They're working feather fill drill. They're working rocket release drill, those types of things. Our receiver coach, he's working obviously with our split ends. Some days he'll work with our tight ends. Some days our tight ends will work with our line coach. We don't have a specific tight end coach because we don't always have a tight end in the game. We'll go tight end. We'll go empty. We do a lot of different things with it. And then usually 1 or 2 days a week, our slots will also work with our receivers with our receiver coaches, working on their hands, working on running routes, those types of things as well. So that's kind of how we break it up.
Okay. All right. And Coach Weaver says the flat and fast also delays the contact point, so your slots don't have to maintain their blocks as long.
True. Yep. Yeah. What we want to do is, we don't have to depend, because of the speed of the motion, because of the speed of and the width of the catch of the pitch on the rocket sweep. Our slots just have to get in guys' ways and get in their way, and we really emphasize a lot on them getting to the outside shoulder flat and fast. Now, there'll be times when we're playing a very loose outside linebacker, like a 3-3 stack defense or a 3-4 defense, and those outside backers are way out there. And what we tell our slots is, if they want to go outside and you cannot reach them, your number one job is try to get their outside shoulder. But if you can't, you're just going to use their momentum against them, drive them to the sideline. And then it's on our back that's catching the ball. He's got to read that block. And then once he sees his offensive player's back, he's got to know, if he sees his back numbers, he's got to cut up and then get back outside. We call it our up and out path. So cut up and then get back outside, because if they cut up and they stay vertical with it, what happens is all that backside pursuit that we're not blocking, it'll catch up to you. So we actually drill that. We'll have them work on that up and out path where, we simulate where, a coach will just step up and they've got to cut it up and then they've got to bounce back outside to the sideline there. So something you've got to, if you want the kids to do it in the game, you've got to do it in practice.
I agree.
Yeah.
Can you run this offense if you don't have a running quarterback?
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, in my time at Broomfield, for the first 4 seasons, for the first 3 years, I had a sophomore starter, sophomore, junior, senior year. Good throwing quarterback. He's a quarterback at CSU Pueblo, a very accomplished Division II program now. He's there, but he was more of a pocket passer, wasn't really a runner. We will run some speed option with our quarterback at times. He didn't really want anything to do with that. He just wanted to either pitch the ball out, hand the ball off, or throw it downfield, which is totally fine. We had great success with him, and he's doing great in college. So yes, you can survive. Our quarterback last year, he was a junior. He took us to the state championship. He wasn't really a runner. He could throw the ball pretty well. He actually, with COVID, we didn't know that we would have a season back in August. And there were a number of athletes in the state of Colorado and other states also that moved out of state because they wanted to go somewhere where they were going to be able to play. And when he called me, he said, "Coach, I'm moving out of state." And I thought, his nickname's Cap. I said, "Cap, you're joking. You're not moving out of state." And he started crying on the phone. I was like, wow, this is for real. And this is a life-changing decision for him and his family. And, but they moved out of state. He wasn't a running quarterback, but did a great job for us, led us to a state championship appearance a year ago. But this year, our sophomore that we have now, Cole, he's a running quarterback, and that has just opened up a plethora of other things that we can do. We've been successful without running quarterbacks, but obviously if you've got a kid that can run the ball, it's even better.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Coach wants to know, can you adapt this to a 9-man game?
So that's a great question. In Colorado, there's 11-man and there's 8-man football. And there was a school out on the Eastern Plains here that was an 8-man school. I don't remember the name of it. The coach and we met at the Glazier Clinic here in Denver, probably in 2011. And he actually adapted it to 8-man football, and they made the playoffs a number of years while he was still there, basically running it. So I would assume that if it works for 8-man, you can find a way to run it for 9-man. And I don't know really the rules for 9-man football, but Coach, if you want to shoot me a DM on Twitter, Coach Brost, I can kind of take a look at what you guys are doing and try to help you adapt it.
Okay. And speaking of which, I am dropping his Twitter and his DVDs for Championship Productions that he did. And to piggyback on that, or a nice segue, Coach wants to know, do you have anything on CoachTube or anywhere else other than those DVDs on Championship Productions?
I do actually. when I signed the contract with Championship Productions, they make you sign a 5-year deal with them where you can't do anything with anyone else or anything like that. I don't have a coach tube yet or anything. But what I did once that no comp ran out, I basically produced my own version of that. Basically, it was probably 2014, 2015. And in that 5 years, we learned a lot about the offense that are not in that Championship Productions DVD set. So, and I've got basically, it's a 6 DVD set. It's 7 hours of coaching. It's basically the camera on a big screen TV. I'm off screen. I'm narrating. I'm going through. It's like being in a 7-hour clinic of the offense. I mail it out to guys for $40 on Championship Productions. You've got to pay $120.
$136.
Yeah, $136 for it. So if you guys want to send me a message, I'm used to, after Glazier Clinics, I sell them at Glazier Clinics for very inexpensive, $40. You're not going to find a better deal for material like that, especially 7 hours of material. And then those guys, they call me, they email me, with questions, stuff like that. I'm always there for support as well. So no coach tube, Championship Productions. It's obviously super expensive, but I can get you that and then some for just $40. So.
All right, there you go. And again, his Twitter, I always feel like I'm about to say twatter for some reason. I don't know why. It's right there. I will also have it in the description if you come back, coaches, to look and watch, because I know I'm fixing to send this to our head coach, because we've been looking to add some stuff. And okay, let me ask you.
Sure.
So you did you go to the Rocket because you were like, oh, I only have to block like the 5 technique and out, because you were having a difficult time blocking the 3 and the 5 on the jet? Or was it just like, I want to get that ball out faster and this is the way to do it?
Yeah. With the under center jet sweep, we installed it 2003, made the semis. We won the state championship in 2004. 2005, we went undefeated. We lost in the semifinals to the eventual state champions. But then at a Glazier clinic, it was a Nike clinic, I learned about the rocket sweep in that off season. And I just thought, that's going to hit faster. It's going to hit wider. We don't have to block as many guys on the line of scrimmage. It's still meshed with our counter game, still meshed with our trap game, still meshed with our power game. And I just figured faster and wider was better. And it has been for us over the years. So that's why we transitioned from under center jet to under center rocket, because I just felt it was better. And there'll be coaches that'll say there's not as much deception, because especially now that we're in gun, and after I speak at clinics, I usually have a coach that comes up to me and he'll say, he's usually an old school wing T guy. He's like, there's no deception. You're not hiding the ball. You're not turning your back to the defense. I said, well, remember that first clip I showed of Percy Harvin running the jet sweep. He's 3 steps behind the quarterback when it hits his hands. And sure, there's no deception. I'm not turning my back. There's no mesh point or whatever. But those 4 steps that I'm faster to the perimeter, that's 4 steps faster. The defense has to decide what to do and how to react to the play. And that has really enhanced our misdirection game. So long-winded answer there. Sorry.
No, heck no. And then also, if you think about it, you're doing a two-handed chest pass.
Uh-huh.
And if you're using it in basketball, they're not elaborate pass fakes. No. To get the defender to move out of the way. You're just kind of like doing like this. So if you you just do that. Hell, that motion, all you got to do is just look that direction, and those guys are taking a couple of steps.
Yep.
And that's really all the wing T coaches want anyways, is those guys to take a couple of steps over to get the angles. You're doing the same exact thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And with our play action passing game, we have our quarterback turn his shoulders and then just give a little pump and then just do a 3-step drop from there. And there's a little more footwork if you're going against the grain, like a right-handed quarterback going to his left. He's kind of take kind of a jump step back. But if you can get those defensive backs to step up at all, or linebackers to move at all, it's going to open up windows for us in the passing game.
Yeah, and I'm sure in the passing game, you've had some dudes that are just so wide open. they could do cartwheels before they even catch a pass.
Yeah, obviously our goal every year is to make the playoffs and to beat playoff games. And those, the team that beat us this last year, Loveland High School, they're well coached. I think one thing that I saw online, we've between them and us, we've played in 4 of the last 5 state championship games. So, when you think about being super wide open on a pass or getting an easy touchdown on a play because you fooled a team, it's like that, from Any Given Sunday or whatever, where Pacino gives a speech about those inches, what turns out to be, where you're beating a team by 6 feet on a play, it literally turns into inches. And if you can get a linebacker to step one way because of an influence pull here, or the quarterback just doing that a little bit, those are the inches that make the difference in those games, in the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the state championship game.
Oh God, I love it. I'm about to go and watch this interview again. Coaches, is there anything else you want to say before we go? I know we've been talking for an hour. Anything you want to say before we head off? I've got a honey-do list that I have every Saturday, man. It's a honey-do list. And
I got you. She
cracks the whip.
The last thing I'll say, and I kind of alluded to this before, there's no magic bullet to a program. You've got to have a solid offense. You've got to have a solid defense. With what we do offensively, we've had teams that are spread teams that have adapted it to what they do with their spread out defense. We've had compressed, double tight, double wing teams that have gone shotgun that have applied it. So you can apply it, even if you're under center, you can apply the rocket sweep to any sort of offense, whether it's gun or under center. But getting back to, offense, defense, special teams, and culture, a big thing for us, we call it our Eagle DNA, and it's made up of 3 strands, and you'll see it. It's on our helmets, it's on our T-shirts. It's 3 strands. It's fearless, tough, and love. And we feel like in our program, the basis of our culture is our Eagle DNA. And if we can teach kids to be fearless, we don't chew kids out. Obviously we get on kids to make mistakes, but if a kid is afraid to make a mistake, he's not going to perform to his utmost potential. So first thing we want to do is our coaches, we want to make sure kids are fearless, whether it's in the squat rack on max day, whether it's, going on the road as the 15 seed against a 2 seed. We want them to be fearless, want them to be tough, endure tough practices, endure tough workouts, because, a year ago we had to go on a game-winning 2-minute drive on a snowy field and kicked a field goal with 4 minutes or 4 seconds left to put us a state championship game. And that's that toughness that we build in. And then the last strand of our DNA is love, teaching our players that it's not about our stats. It's not about winning games. It's about loving one another and being together another week and hopefully in the playoffs. So those 3 things is what builds our culture. And if there's coaches that are listening here, I would say, don't look for that magic bullet offense, defense. What you want to do is you want to build your culture first, because then the kids, no matter what offense you decide to run or whatever defense you decide to run, they're going to run through walls through you, for you. So build your culture, get your kids to believe in what you're doing, and you'll see a lot more excitement, a lot more enthusiasm, and a lot more sellout by those athletes for each other. And that's that love component there. So.
Damn, I don't want to say anything to mess that up. That was freaking great, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop your Twitter handle again. Okay. Reach out, follow him if you don't. Reach out to him more about the offense, about culture, everything like that. Coach, thank you so much for being here, and I need to get you back on, man. I had a blast.
It was fun. It was a good time. I appreciate the invite, and looking forward to watching some more of what you put on, and looking forward to learning some spread stuff from you. Always looking for new ideas.
All right.
If you're a coach and you're satisfied, you're done as a coach. So
yes, sir. I completely agree. It's time to start growing, because we're out of we're done with football too. So it's time for us to dive back into it.
That's right.
Coaches, thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate it. And until next time, let's continue to master the spread, score points, and have fun. I will